Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we complete our third month in our readings. 3 months now we've been going through the Bible, and it's appropriate that we come to Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 18 through 20, as we look ahead not only to a new month, but also to the rest of the year in doing our daily readings. There, it's anticipated that the people would ask for a king to be like the nations around them, as we see fulfilled in 1 Samuel. And there are some instructions given for the king. And one of those instructions is in connection to God's law. The king was supposed to write out his own copy of the law, and then he was supposed to read it every day for the rest of his life. He's supposed to read from the law every day for the rest of his life. And this was going to do certain things for the king. For one, it would help him to fear the Lord. It says that he shall read it all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord, his God, by carefully observing all the words of this law and these statutes. And then it would also keep him humble. In verse 20, it says that his heart may not be lifted up above his countrymen. And then it was going to lead into or help facilitate obedience to the Lord. As it continues on, it says, and that he may not turn aside from the commandment to the right or to the left. And then it would even help his descendants after him. It says, once again, continuing, it says, so that he and his sons may continue long in his kingdom in the midst of Israel. So basically, 4 benefits for daily being in God's word. It would cause him to fear the Lord. It would cause him to be humble. It would cause him to be obedient. And it would help future generations on down the line. And these same benefits are the benefits that we get by daily getting into God's word. When we get into God's word, it helps us to fear the Lord. It helps us to maintain reverence for God. When we're not in God's word, when we allow our minds to drift and to begin to become worldly, and we kind of just push God to the side in our minds, it's very easy for us to lose that sense of awness of God and to lose reverence for God, to where we put perhaps other things or other people in the place of God, and we begin to serve other things. But staying in God's word and each and every day, getting into God's word is a helpful reminder for us about who God is and who we are in relation to him. But also, it helps us in staying humble. It helps us recognize the fact that in light of this great and awesome God, that we are but human, we are but flesh, like the flower that fades. So we're like a vapor that is here for a little while and then vanishes away. It humbles us. It helps us to recognize, how far we fall short of the glory of God, and helps us to more and more appreciate the mercy and grace shown to us through Jesus Christ. And so getting into God's word each day helps facilitate us being humble before the Lord and before other people. But it also helps us to be obedient. As we are reminded each and every day of God's word, each and every day reminded of what our true commitment is to the Lord and how we are to fulfill that commitment, it helps us to have it in the forefront of our minds so that we can remember to obey the Lord and to keep his commandments. And then lastly, it helps our descendants as well. It benefits us in our own life as we have God's word in our mind and as we're following God's word. But it can also benefit our children and our children's children and on down the line, because they'll see the influence that God's word has on our lives. It will become proper examples for them that they can follow. So as we think about getting into God's word each and every day, we can have these same benefits that the king would. It helps us to fear the Lord. It helps us to be humble. It helps us to be obedient, and it helps future generations. So as we enter into a new month and we close out these first 3 months, let's be renewed in our commitment to reading God's word. Maybe some have fallen off the wagon. Maybe you got to Leviticus and you just kind of threw up your hands, or maybe you just got real busy and you kind of got away from the daily readings, let's use today. Maybe you can start fresh on April 1st to getting back into God's Word, get back into the readings. If you start in April 1st, or April the 1st, and you just pick up with us in our reading, and then read until March 31st next year, you would have read through the Bible. Maybe it'd be a little bit offset, but at least you would have read every verse in the Bible. So wherever you are in the reading, whatever difficulties you might have had, or if it's been easy for you, let's just continue into God's Word. Let's continue pushing forward through this year. Let's continue to get in God's Word, and we'll find these various benefits really manifest themselves in our lives. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.